Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and I am so happy to have you join me once again for another episode of Fearlessly Authentic, where we talk about all the things that will educate you, empower you with all that information, entertain you a little bit, and inspire you to live your most fearlessly authentic life. Because, in my humble opinion, what the heck are we doing here if we're not trying to do that every single day, even when it feels really, really hard? And today's guest is going to open up your eyes to relationships, how we all relate to one another, how to date well, how to date smart, and how to really put your best foot forward in a relationship, and to also be aware of all the red and green flags and not be so hard on yourself. If you are a first-time listener, welcome to the show. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. We are now a top 5% globally ranked podcast. So thank you. Yay. Thank you all so much for getting us to that point and getting us to get more and more guests that you will enjoy and learn from. Today's guest is Esther Sarpahtie. She is a woman who is giving us lots of dating, romantic, relationship advice. But what's interesting about Esther is that she's giving advice as a woman for men. So men and women are learning from her all the time. So often we get advice from women about what we need to do as women in relationships that will improve our relationships. But how do we get behind the thoughts of a man? How does a man think? Because they do think differently than we do. So we are going to just jump right into this. If you have any questions, please DM me on Instagram, and I will leave all the information for you to get in touch with Esther. So here we go. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, Esther. It's so nice to have you here with me.
Thank you so much. I am very, very happy, excited to be here. I was looking
I'm
forward to this so much.
Me too. And I know there's a big time difference. You're in Greece, I'm in Connecticut. So I appreciate you doing this late at night. I know it's not that late, but yeah, you know what? I came across your profile maybe 9 months ago, and I was so intrigued because as a woman, you are giving really, really good advice to women about men. And I don't think there are enough people with experience and expertise to give that type of advice. You see a lot of young kids, like I'm talking 20s, 30s, giving this, to me, it's silly advice, but given my age, to me, it's silly. Sometimes it's okay. But to see a more mature woman giving advice from real life experience and factual information, and it changes constantly. What brought you to this point where you were sharing so much of your knowledge to help other people navigate through the dating life, marriage, everything, relationships?
Well, thank you so much for that beautiful intro. Well, obviously, it's been a long road for me to get here. I mean, it's not obvious, but I started out differently. I studied psychology because I really wanted to study psychology. Since I was a child, I wanted to do something good for humanity. I wanted to help people already when I was like 5 years old in my class, I remember, because it made me feel good. I was very pro underdog. I was very tuned into people or, kids at that age who needed somebody. And I'm from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam, and we had so many immigrants that I was always trying to help them and telling the teacher about issues they had and trying to be this middle person. So that's where actually my passion started for this profession. And I didn't even know that that could be a profession, even. So then I grew up and I studied like my parents wanted, economics and politics, because that was the wise thing to do. Because as a girl, you need to
Right.
find a job. And this was like the secure thing to study. Psychology in those days was a little bit hoo hoo, we didn't know if you could find a good job with that. you had to do with like crazy people. Those were like the taboos around the subject of psychology in the days that I grew up. So when I finally studied psychology, I also did 2 years of child psychology, and I loved it so much. And I knew this is my calling. I've always known this since I was a child. But by that time, I'd moved to Greece and I studied psychology in the UK. So in Greece, I was very intimidated by the language barrier because I do speak fluent Greek, but it's different when you speak to people about their problems and they want to feel free that you are able to express with the right words at the right situation. And I was very scared I wasn't able to do it. So I was for many years an advisor on all kinds of life issues and relationship issues for friends and people I didn't even know. I was always open because I really had this passion. And I think that that is, in general, the most important thing. If anybody is listening and is like, passion, passion, where do you find this passion? If you don't feel it from within, you have to try several things in life until you find your passion. Because I think it's the most beautiful thing. If you can find something you're passionate about, I don't know, doesn't matter what it is, cooking, working out, advising people, and then get an expert, become an expert at that. So that's what I've been doing the last, like, I don't know, 15 years. I've been educating myself. I've done several courses. And then 2 years ago, I started with the internet because I thought, okay, I have so much to say, and where is it all going? And also, I have made so many mistakes myself that I wanted to help the new generation, the young girls, because I see the terrible mistakes they make, and I just feel for them. I wanted to help them, to support them, to be kind of a mentor, to guide them, and to teach them tools that you can use at any moment in time in your relationship to have a better quality relationship, also with yourself.
Mm. Almost like a cheat sheet, it's like, this is what I've learned, this is what I know. Let me help you so you don't spend all this time that I may have making the mistakes and then learning from them myself, because way back then, and I don't know how old you are, but I know you're younger than me. But way back when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have this constant communication, we just learned by failing, and it was fail, fail, reset, start over again. And now there's such an abundance and overload of information that you really need to trust the sources. And this is what I was attracted to about you, was that I trusted the things you said. The things that you said resonated to me. And going back to your point about passion, a lot of people I have spoken to, and I just know, don't really have a passion. You know, I know when I was married, a stay-at-home mom, my passion was always working out and taking care of my health, but my passion was raising my children, right? Keeping the family together, keeping a beautiful home, being there for my husband. But I knew, which was one of the reasons why what led to my divorce, was that I didn't really have my passion. My passion was around other people, but I needed to find my passion. And once I did, and everyone who's listening right now, once you do find your passion, it will give you the biggest purpose in life, and you will speak from your heart so authentically. Don't you agree?
I agree. But the truth is, I think that it's also like this in life. It's okay to have different kinds of passions in different phases in your life.
Right.
I mean, when I was a mom, that's also when I studied child psychology, actually. So it really helped me with raising my son. I, for me, it was the best time I've ever had in my life. It was
Right.
the most passionate job I was given. It was a gift.
Right.
And I never expected that, to be honest, because Dutch women are pretty cool at being mothers. They work, not so many things change in their lives, it seems. But for me, it was like a whole new world. I thought it was like a miracle that this
Right.
new human being I was responsible for to, feed it and, help it and teach it. So I think, yeah, to me, it was for many years my biggest passion. I could not have
Totally.
done this job then if I would have had to do it. So I waited until my son was older, and then I threw myself onto,
Mhm.
strangers, whoever needed my help.
Mhm.
So the passion evolved in a little bit of
Right.
a different
Right.
direction.
And I like what you said about also trying different passions. I think that's very, very important. And so when we come to relationships, male, female, we're talking about heterosexual relationships. Okay.
Mostly, I
Mostly.
don't,
Okay.
this is what I have the most experience in, to be
Okay.
honest.
I just wanted to preface that for any, for everybody who's
Yes.
listening. So when it comes to presenting your in the dating world, it is, to me, is it important that the woman feels whole, feels accomplished, feels that she is the best version of herself coming into the dating world? Let's just use that, the dating world, putting yourself on an app, being introduced to other people. What should the mindset be of a woman who wants to find the right, let's say, high value man for her?
I think it all starts with self-awareness. I think that that's a little bit lacking nowadays because young people are so incredibly easily distracted by everything internet. So, and we live so much in our heads because nowadays we're so used to spend so much time alone because families are also smaller. Not everybody has kids, not everybody has a partner. There's so many single people, young single people who really grab onto like whatever they see on the internet. And it's very confusing. I think that a young woman, if she wants to really date in order to find like a serious guy with whom she can build on a relationship, she should be very self-aware of who she actually thinks she is and what she thinks that she's looking for. And I'm not attending to this letter of 6 feet tall, blue eyes,
Finance, right? That whole thing,
finance
right? Right.
guy or a tennis pro or whatever.
Right.
These are all exterior factors that don't bring any happiness in life. You have to look at what you think your needs are, but your real needs. Like if you know that you are a sensitive person, you have to look for a guy who's emotionally mature. If you know that you have an anxious attachment style, for you to be able to heal from that, that's very hard. It's a constant battle. So you have to look for somebody who can be tuned in into your moods and your needs because you might need, for example, texting more than another girl who doesn't care if he texts good night or good morning. So you have to be very self-aware, and this is what you can do as an exercise. You can literally write down a list of what you think, doesn't matter how old you are, what you need, and of who you think you are as a person. What is important about you? And what are your non negotiables? But serious non negotiables. When you tell me my non negotiable is, he needs to be a good guy, he needs to be honest, that doesn't say anything. That's so general. Most people are good and honest, let's say. I mean, but really dig, and keep this notebook for yourself and adjust once a month because you change, you evolve, you never stay the same.
No, I love that exercise. That's a
Thank you. I
great
love
thing
it
to
too. I
refer
also do
to.
it with myself for other
Mhm.
things. It's a
Right. It's
great way to keep yourself grounded, to write down where you are right now in life. It's like a meeting with yourself.
right. So let's talk and let's break down what I'm trying to think if we should start with what you think men are looking for in a woman, or what women should look for in a man, or what they can do to lots of questions, what they can do to make their relationships better. I've heard so many of your videos, your reels, that one of the things that you talk about is not nagging a man to do things around the house. So let's talk about the nagging thing, because what I've learned about nagging is that this is what I've read is that women who nag their husbands are women who aren't getting enough attention elsewhere. Is that true?
Elsewhere? You mean from another man or
No,
elsewhere in their
no, from
lives?
in elsewhere in your life. Maybe they're not happy at their job. Maybe their husband
Uh-huh.
isn't giving them enough attention. Maybe she's concerned about money, um, other things in the relationship, maybe. Is that true?
I don't know about that. I
Okay.
think that we women, we have a kind of mindset that when we see a man as a serious partner, we tend to expect too much. This is a big problem, and we don't even realize because it happens gradually. So you meet a guy in the beginning, you're happy when he takes you on dates, you tick all these boxes like, okay, he gave me flowers, he bought me a birthday present, all these positive things. We see them and we acknowledge them and we are happy and we, praise him for it, etc. But once you are in a serious relationship, when you are in a routine with a man, you assume that it's normal that he takes out the garbage, that he washes your car every Friday, that he takes you to your mom on Sunday so you can see her for an hour, whatever he does for you. And you kind of forget conveniently to see this as something that he's actually really doing for you. Those are little sacrifices men do for us, and we don't see it like that. I get a lot of angry women who are like, should I really thank him for washing my car? I mean, this is like a husband's job. You see, this is what he should do. What is he, a child? But we don't really want to understand how men function. Men thrive on the feeling of being accepted and being appreciated. That's like oxygen for a man. So why not give it to him? Why not make him feel special when he does an action for you? Not because he is so amazing, he looks so great, he has amazing abs. No, because he did something for you. It's a very simple concept that actually my mom taught me. And I was also very resistant to this because I was raised in a time that you go and work, you study, you become independent. And of course, you have a relationship that's amazing, but you're not going to like be like this to your husband all the time, like, oh, you're so amazing, you're so amazing, you're so amazing, because you think that he should do all these things for you. And this is wrong. As soon as you change your mindset and you go back to the old school ways, actually, of how it used to be, you see, we have all this knowledge nowadays, all these people like me who are talking and saying all these things we should do and rules this and rules that. But why are more and more people failing at relationships? Because nowadays it's more than 50% of relationships that fail. And then we try again and again and again. The only reason we try is because we all want to believe in a fairy tale. There's no other reason why we remarry and we keep on marrying while everybody's divorcing. But the reason why everybody is failing is because we don't acknowledge the simple rules of how relationship used to be. Because there used to be respect in relationships, and we now only respect ourselves. It's very hard to respect our partner. We have demands still. And I think what a man is looking for, because you asked that before as well, I think all men, even young men nowadays, the most modern guy, will, if you look deep into his heart, he's looking for somebody that has something that reminds him of his mom. I believe that all men are like that. I've seen this now, I've tested it. It's he doesn't even know it himself, this guy, but that's how it is.
I agree with you. I was married for 17 years. I agree with you. And I think just not to go off on a tangent because I want to stick to this, is, you know, when a woman is with a man and looking for things, if this is going to be a good partner for her, is with the mother situation, is look at how he treats his mom. Do you agree with that ideology of look at the way your man treats his mom? That is probably the way he's going to treat you. Is that true? Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
100%.
Yeah, that's
Unless his mom is, I don't know, it's a big issue. There are obviously always exceptions. But in
yeah.
the general, that's how it goes. Yes, I
Mm,
agree.
yeah.
He
Yeah. So,
needs this nurturing side from a
mhm,
woman. And we
yeah.
have lost that nowadays because we are so busy that we are tuned into our masculine. So this whole nurturing actually just to be instead of to do all the time. We're constantly in fight flight mode. We wake up, we go to Pilates class, we take the dog out, we go to work, we have the kids, we have 100 people to attend to in one day, and emails and phone calls, that we have lost this, softness about us, what a man actually really wants.
I agree with you 100%. So after I got divorced at 42, and then I remarried 5 years ago. So I was married for 17 years. I was divorced for 17 years. Yeah, right. And so I dated a million men because, like, I got married at 25. So I missed out on my 20s and I was in my 40s and I was like having a very good time and just seeing what I liked. And um, I remember and I was in a toxic relationship. And I remember when I met my husband, the one I'm married to now, and thinking, oh, this is what it feels like to fall into my feminine energy. This is what it feels like to feel safe again. This is what it feels like to be a woman again. And I remember him because I could be very, very feisty. I remember what he would say to me because he's really old fashioned and I'm a little old fashioned. Um, he said to me, "I love demure Jody." And I was like, not sure if I like that. But I realized that when I was with him, I was more demure. And that was me falling into my feminine energy. And when do we fall into our feminine energy? We fall in there when we do feel safe. And we're in fight or flight when we're like total masculine energy. So I had been like that as soon as I got divorced. The divorce papers were signed, and it's
Yeah.
like fight or flight, fight or flight. And, obviously throughout the day, I'm still like that. And I think so many women, I think we talked about this briefly on the phone, that so many women in their 30s and 40s who are single and looking to marry or have a lifetime partner don't know how to turn off that masculine energy when they're on a date. Do you feel that men feel that immediately? And what kind of suggestions can you make to women to help try to move more to the feminine side? Because I agree with you. I think women don't know how to turn off that masculine side. They don't even know they're doing it.
Yeah, they suffer. I Most of my clients have this issue. They tell me, it's great what you're all saying, but how do I do it? Give
Right.
me these tools. And I think that especially nowadays, because we have to be realistic about the times that we do live in, um, we women have this thing that we want it all. Men are very good at understanding their own abilities. So a man understands that he cannot have it all. He knows that. We don't, because society has taught us this little lie that, you can work and have kids and have a husband and go to the gym and you can do it all. You can be everything. This is this little bit of a feministic attitude we have been taught. And this is a big lie. You cannot accomplish a full life and be good at each and every one of those departments in your life and thrive. It's impossible at the same time. You can have it all, but not at the same time. So if you are super career focused and you call me and you tell me, look, Esther, my career is on top of my list, but I want a boyfriend. Then I will ask you how much time you actually have. And I will also ask you what you are doing besides your career for yourself, besides dating. So is there anything that you do to help yourself, to calm down, to be relaxed? It could be anything. I always say, throw it on the wall and see what sticks. You look the Italians with the spaghetti,
I'm the
because
same way. That's how
yeah,
I feel
because you
too.
like to journal. I don't like to journal. I like to go for a walk in the morning or something. I like to
Right.
be in nature and hear the birds, or you like to swim, or if you are good at time management, because this was the second thing I always ask. I always ask women about time management because we do waste a lot more time than we actually realize on scrolling or calling for hours with our girlfriends. Or we went to the grocery shop to pick up some apples and then we saw a belt in the shop next door, and oh, and the shoes, and then oh yeah, I need to do my hair. So I think if
Exactly.
you are, yeah, if you're good at time management, you can really, really learn to be tuned into your feminine. in this to be, in this to listen to music and just do nothing, and to light a candle and just to dream, you know? If you do this as a task on a daily basis, even for half an hour, because you tell me, oh, I have no time, Esther, for these things, half an hour. You can do it for half an hour. You can do something each day for half an hour that makes you feel good. Take a bath, a long shower, do an everything shower, like they say now on TikTok, all these girls, their hair and body lotion, and I don't know what. That's fine. Whatever is good for
Right.
you, whatever works. And then the
Right.
time management is very important. What I've taught myself since a very young age, I prep at night because that saves me a lot of time in the morning.
Mm.
And in the morning, I don't want to get up and be like all over the place. I want to get up and have peace. So I put everything out at night, what I'm going to wear. I know my program for the morning. I don't have to think, oh, I was on the program again. I put all my supplements, my whatever coffees, whatever I take, my collagen powder, etc. I put it there. So I don't need to think in the morning. It helps me a lot. I'm so much more peaceful as a person because of that. And I also work endless hours. So it
Mhm.
is doable. If I can do it, you can do it.
Right, right. It's about being organized and knowing what your priorities are. Do you work with any men or do you just work with women?
No, I do. I
Mhm.
actually, the men are finally more open to and willing to open up to me. I had some men in the beginning, and then for a while, I had like only 2 or 3 men, and now it's in the rise again. And I'm very, very pleased. It's always a big honor for me when a man calls me because that means that he trusts a woman, which I see as a big honor because it's hard for a man to open up to a woman. It's hard for a man to open up anyway. So we women, we know how to open up. It's our thing. We're good at it. We're good at
Right.
analyzing all these emotions and feelings. Men are not so good at it. So yeah, it's those are really good clients of mine. I love it because men, they go straight to the point.
Mhm.
They go
Right.
straight to the problem because they are fixers themselves.
Mhm.
We women, we can, I can be with a woman on the phone for an hour and we still haven't really gotten to the point because she needed to upload everything.
Right, right. So if somebody is, let's go back to dating. You meet somebody and it's like 3 months in. Do you have some do's and don'ts when you're starting to date for men and for women?
Yes. The most important do for me is because people are so ready with their lists and because we have all this knowledge now and experience and we think we know what we want and we're influenced by what we see on the internet. So we also believe that we deserve this guy who will, fall on his knees at some point with a ring.
Right.
So
A 5 carat
we,
ring.
yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
So we are already tuned into expecting things. So when that doesn't happen, we are immediately ready to judge because we are ready to self protect. That's our masculine energy that we're so used to.
Right.
So, what I would say is really stop with the list, forget it. Just go and have fun.
Mm.
Go and have fun with this person. And if in 3 months you still feel good when you are with that person, you feel comfortable. That's very important. You have to ask yourself when you're with that person, do I feel nervous? Do I feel, oh, my makeup or my hair? Oh, you know, do I feel like that? Anxiety? Or do I feel comfortable? Do I feel that every time I see that person, I want to get to know a little bit more of this person? And I want to share also more of me with that person because I do feel comfortable and I like spending time with that person. Forget about expectations or where is this going or are we going to be serious or not. That comes organically when you follow the way you feel because your feelings, your gut feeling is always right.
Mhm.
You just have to trust it. You don't need to trust him, but you need to
To
trust
trust
yourself
yourself.
that
Mm.
you are on the right path. That's what it's in general all about in life, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
if you are nervous about this guy, then you have to ask yourself, why am I so nervous? Because maybe it's my anxious attachment style, or maybe he is not consistent, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know on Monday when I'll see him because he doesn't really call, he texts very little. You have to ask yourself how you feel. That's important.
Right. So if somebody, and I know you talk about texting a lot, if let's just use that example, he's not texting a lot. Is this a red flag for the woman? How do you suggest a woman reacts to that if she needs more texting or it's not working for her because it is making her anxious? I think a lot of women are scared to speak out about that.
Yes, that's so true. Women are super nervous about texting. I get
Right.
this all the time. But Esther, he sends me every day good morning, good night with a heart. And yesterday, I just got a good morning with a sun. So, I mean, yes, it's almost funny, but I do know that so many women suffer, and I feel so terrible for them because I know, because I also lived in a time that we didn't have texting. You see, so I
It's
know
wonderful,
how,
right?
yes, I know how that feels when you date. And young women nowadays, all they have is texting. We're just holding on to if he texts and when he texts, and if he asks me something, and if he comes through, and if he forgets, and if he has me on read, it has become like we're obsessed. I would say the following: step back from texting, put your phone away, literally, put it in another room. Because to a man, texting has not doesn't have the meaning like it has to us women. To a man, texting is something that, what does he need? Two fingers, how many muscles is that? I don't even know. It's like nothing. You see, and there are many men who don't like to text because they don't like this chit chatting, like, hey, what's up? How are you? They're not good at, they don't like it.
Right.
Or
Like you
they
said
want to,
before, they want to just get to the point.
yes, they want to get to the point. Okay, are we meeting up? At
Right.
8, and you want to have a whole intro. Why didn't you send me a good morning text? Why don't you send me any hearts? Where are the flames that I got last year, or something like that? So the other issue with texting is that because it is so easy, we women fall into this trap to say, yeah, but if it's so easy, why doesn't he then text me?
Right.
Because I need that as proof.
Mm.
I think you should literally to take off this burden from yourself and this, incredible anxious feeling about texting. I think you should literally just look at his actions. That's all you need to do. If you
Right.
are uncertain of how that man actually feels, because the texting creates a false sense of being intimate with a man you might not even know that well yet, and you are only fooling yourself. This is nobody's fault. You are doing this to yourself, this anxiety about the texting. So put your phone away, do something to distract yourself. Call a girlfriend, go for a walk, and let it sit. I say this to all my clients: let it sit. Because you cannot force a man to text you. If you do that, then you become the man in the relationship. Then you are pursuing him. You are
Right.
taking over his job. Give him the space to come to you when he's ready, and
Right.
look at his real actions. Because if he doesn't text much, but he's consistent in seeing you, in
Right.
doing little things for you, in showing you through little gifts, whatever he takes you out, I don't know what he does, that he cares, then why are you so worried about the texting? If he
I
says that he will, I don't know, take you on a weekend trip and he does it, then look at that. And don't look at the, oh, but he didn't text me good night.
right. No, I agree with you. And I think that gets things very, very complicated because if you are seeing that person consistently and there is consistency, I think that is what you need to look for. But at the beginning, and it seems I remember from my dating years, from hearing my daughters date, that not getting the text, but not knowing if there's plans. Well, I'm going to text him anyway, even though they know they quote unquote shouldn't. I feel that the same way you do, let it go. Like, don't look at it, don't text him, let
Best
him
advice
text
ever.
you.
Let it go.
Right, let it go. If he doesn't text you and you have no plans, then, you know, do something else. Like, find something else to do. That's I look at it as that's the guy's loss, you know?
It works actually against us. This,
Mhm,
okay, I'll
right.
text him,
So you look
because we
desperate.
have an inner fear that he might forget about us. So
Right,
we have this need to remind him, like, hey, I'm here, I'm available. But
right.
that actually creates the opposite feeling in a man. A man doesn't find that attractive. A man
Explain
is
why.
not
Explain
drawn
that.
to that
Right. Explain that.
because you present yourself on a platter. You basically show him that you are so into him. He takes it as a compliment. It's good for his ego, but it's not good for your relationship. You just feed into his ego. So he might even say to his friends, "Oh, look at her. She really wants me tonight, even." You know? So if you want to attract that man, if you want to make him text you and reach out to you, then you have to restrict with your energy. Your restriction of your energy is the most important thing because a man senses your energy. I don't know what this is with men, but they are literally like sharks. They
Mhm.
sense it when you are like this, when you're trying to hold on. They sense it all the time. You're on WhatsApp checking, if something is happening. Let it sit. It's the best advice I can give to any woman. Trust me on that. Whoever listens to my advice later on tells me, Esther, you were right.
You're like, I
And
know
I,
I'm right.
yeah, and I don't want to be right. It's not about that.
Of
I want you to
course.
feel good. I want you to
Right.
feel good.
You want them
It
to be
makes you
happy.
feel desperate when you don't hear
Right.
from him.
Right. And do you think this is a confidence issue, or do you think it's that women want to feel that they're being seen and heard? And going back to in the day, where we didn't have cell phones and it was your boyfriend would call you on the phone with the long cord and you would go into the laundry room so everybody in the family I used to go into the garage so my whole family didn't hear me talk.
Yeah.
And it I remember my mom saying to me, "Don't call him, Jody. Don't call him. He'll call you. He knows your number. He knows where you live. And that's what I always remind young people now too, is that they know where you are. They know how to reach you. Everybody's got a cell phone on them 24/7. If they're not texting you, that means, and you don't have plans, that means that maybe he's not that interested, but you're not going to run after him because that's the worst thing that they can do. And a lot of women will respond, "Well, I don't want to play games." Well, what do you say to that when a woman says, "Well, I don't want to play
But
those
this
games?"
this has nothing to do with games. This is
Right.
clear how to manage your life, how to manage your relationships. I mean, you meet a guy, you've been dating him for 3 months, and you're anxious about the texting. Let's say,
Mhm.
if we
Yeah.
give this as an example, it's in the beginning, but you've kind of been dating him. He texts you good morning, good night, but not always, confuses you. So I think that to take the pressure off yourself, the moment you relax and you understand, you take it for what it is. Nowadays, literally, we do this also with other people. I have so many people texting me in general every day about 1,000 things. I don't always get to answer all these texts immediately. Some I may reply to in 2 days. So if you put so much emphasis on this texting, and if you feel this need so much to hold on to this man, to reach out to him and to make him aware of your existence, is that really the kind of relationship that you want to have?
No.
Does that give you fulfillment?
Right. Does it make you feel good? And the answer is going to be it doesn't. They don't want to be
Exactly.
like that, right? So that's a really good point. Does it make you feel good? How does this make you feel? And if it's not good, then stop doing it.
Exactly.
Right. And I
Yeah,
think
but
a
then
lot
I
of
get these women, sorry to interrupt you, who
no.
tell me, no, it doesn't make me feel good. And when I tell him that I want him to text me more because he says he will do it and then he doesn't do it. And this is the other thing.
Okay.
We have this intense need to control a man because it makes us feel safe.
Mhm.
But the second rule in relationships, which is also from the old days, you cannot control a man. A man will always do what he wants to do. And the more relaxed you are, you will actually pull him in. Because the one who's least dependent on the outcome of this texting, not texting, whatever situation, pulls the other person in. That's how energy works.
Right.
It always works like that. It's not me saying that. That's how it works.
It's very true. And you may not even realize you're putting out that energy. And that goes back to what you said at the beginning, the self-awareness. The self-awareness
Yes,
is huge to understand you don't want to make the same mistakes you did in the past. So how are you going to present yourself while still being completely authentic, staying true to who you are we're not saying to be anybody else but you, but, being aware of how to make a relationship successful from the beginning. And of course, you've
Yes.
got to get to know the person, realize, is this a good fit for me? If it's not a good fit for you, then you need to step away. And I think that first 3 months, if you're seeing each other consistently, you sort of get a real feel in that first 3 months. Like, what is this person capable of? Are we a good fit? Do we communicate effectively?
And
And
also just be realistic about the
mhm,
priorities in any relationship. Texting is not a priority. That's the reality.
mm,
Texting is too easy for
yes,
everybody,
right,
also for us with friends. When a friend texts me, if you need anything, let me know, it means nothing, right? When you're at my door with flowers and soup, because you know I'm sick, I'm just saying, that means something. And it's the same with men. When he texts you, I love you, so what? When he texts you good morning, and does that really change your life? That's such an instant gratification feeling. You become addicted to that. That's the
right.
problem. And when he then pulls away, you have lost your addiction to these little texts that you have given so much meaning to. But it's a false feeling of intimacy.
Mm,
Real intimacy, even nowadays in this viral world we're living in, comes through real connection, comes
right,
through seeing each other, being close to each other. It
right.
doesn't come through texting. That's not how relationships are made.
So do you have a set of rules? You mentioned that was rule number 2. What are your
Yes,
other rules for dating for women? And yeah, for women.
there are many. I'm writing a book about that now because
Good.
because I love doing the videos, but it's, then it's about this and then it's about that. And I just wanted to put everything into like a little kind of Bible for women that there's clarity, because I see it also with my clients. I very often need to repeat things because they need to feel safe that, okay, that's how it goes. So I really don't text him. No, you don't text him. Okay. Okay. So I do nothing. Yes, you do nothing. And so I wanted to, this idea of this book came from that, from my clients and from the reactions I have from the videos. So another rule that I find very, very, very important is to, nowadays, we have been taught to be so independent, right? And I find it very, very important that a woman always keeps part of her identity to herself. This is another thing we do wrong as women. We meet a guy, it goes, it goes, it goes. And at some point, we are so into this relationship that our life has become that guy. And whatever he
Right. It's
does or
completely
says,
enmeshed. Right. I know. I've
yes,
seen it. Oh,
we
it drives
react
me,
to
drives me
everything.
crazy. Drives me
Yes,
crazy. Okay.
we are only reactive as women. We react to everything. He didn't come home on time. He didn't call. He took the dog out, but he didn't wash his feet or whatever. We react to everything that guy does or doesn't do. And we should stop that to be happier as women. We want to be so independent, right? That means that we are also in control of our minds. So the more we make our happiness dependent on what he does or doesn't do, the more we actually become unhappy, because a man will always disappoint you. I can give that to you on a paper with a guarantee and signature under it. Every man will disappoint you because boys will be boys. They cannot be this perfect kind of father figure who protects you through everything.
Right.
He's a human
Right.
being. He makes mistakes.
Right.
So don't be so reactive. Be proactive. And that means always keep your own way of thinking. I always tell all my clients, never stop with your self development. Keep
Mm,
on reading, keep on educating yourself.
mm.
First of all, that can never be taken away from you, right? And then you also have something to talk about. It adds to your value. A Birkin bag doesn't add to your value. That just shows me you have some kind of money. But that bag doesn't add to your value. What adds to your value is who you are as a person.
Yeah,
And I
that bag's
think
not going to
that,
make great conversation at dinner.
no, the only thing you can say is how much you paid for it, where you bought it, if it was
Right.
stolen or not, or if it's a fake or whatever. That's it. Very superficial. So, or how many you have. So, but actually, when you keep educating yourself, it could be anything, right? Learn about plants or flowers or a language, anything you like.
100%.
That makes
Yeah.
you more interesting as a person because men are intrigued with women who have a certain mystery about them, who are not like what you see what she is immediately. No, he wants to dig and figure
He
out what
wants to
more there
learn,
is.
right? He wants
Yes,
to learn from you, learn together. He wants you to have just as much going on as he does. So when you do come together for dinner, lunch, whatever it is, you have a lot of things to talk about and exchange. So you're both growing together. And
yes.
that's very fulfilling in a relationship.
Yeah, and you have to restrict. If you don't learn, I learned this years ago. I did an extra course on that, and it was eye-opening for me. It was unbelievable how much this one rule of restrict with my energy changed my whole life, everything,
Mm.
because I didn't react anymore. I stopped reacting. I had so much peace. Plus, that I was in control. Because when you don't react, you become the manager. You are your own CEO of your mindset, of your actions, of everything you do. So always stay true to yourself, even if you've been married for a long time.
That's a great
Some
point. I think,
things should be yours and not uh, both to both the
right.
relationship.
And you hear a lot of women. I mean, it happened to me in my marriage. I lost who I was. And then in my 40s, I had to figure out, well, who do I want to be again? Who do I want to be? So it was exciting. But, unfortunately, I think a lot of women um, who get married too early, who are not, look, we're always evolving, as we've said throughout this episode, but you have to have something going on that's just for yourself. And as you said, restricting some things that are just yours. Otherwise, I do think because you become so enmeshed in the relationship and you have nothing going on, that you do tend to become controlling. I think that's an incredible point. I hope everybody like highlights this and writes that down.
Yes.
What's another rule that you have?
Yeah, the controlling thing is an issue because of our fear
Hmm.
that we are not in control. We think that by telling him what he should do, we are in control. But
Right.
it completely emasculates a man. He's not attracted anymore to you. He sees you as a mother figure after some years. So you cannot grow together like that because you're not equals anymore. You're now his mom who tells him to drink water because that's good for him.
I remember, I'm going to share this with you. I remember my mom saying to me when I was married to my first husband, that having children, and he was going to law school part-time, working full-time, and 80, so basically 80 hours working and with little kids. So it was just crazy. And my mother comes over one day and she says, Jody, why don't you try, because I was always in gym clothes. She said, why don't you try getting out of those gym clothes and putting on some lipstick? Maybe brush your hair or something. It was something like that. But I remember specifically, she said, why don't you put on some lipstick? And I thought, oh, not going to
Oh,
do
what is
that.
she
That's
talking about?
ridiculous. What is she
Yes.
talking about? And then I remembered, you know what? I'm not going to tell her. I'm just going to try it. And you know what? I felt better about myself. I
Yes.
didn't feel haggard. I felt I look pretty. I feel pretty. And so it was about me and how I would react to him. And so the better I felt about myself, the less reactive or maybe nagging I was. I wasn't really a naggy wife. But it was interesting for my mom to say. I'll never forget it. I was in my 30s. It was over 30 years ago that she said that to me.
Yeah, my mom said something similar to me. And I will never forget this either. She was always like, when your husband comes home, you make yourself pretty. Throw on a little bit of blush, lipstick, mascara. That's it. Like a 3 minute makeup situation, like a makeup, no makeup situation. A
Right.
nice dress, because what men like to see on a woman is a dress, because that is what makes a woman effeminate. Because trousers everybody can wear. And you wait for him at the door. And I thought when
Oh
she
my God,
said
waiting
it,
at the door. My mom said the same
yes,
thing. Yes, wait at the door. And I'm
but
like, what?
yes, but listen to this. Why these things are so important. This is another rule. if you want a relationship to thrive and if you want to grow with your partner, you have to understand that you have to be each other's best supporters, cheerleaders. You have to be your husband's or your boyfriend's most popular cheerleader, and he too, devoted cheerleader. Because nowadays I see this very often with people, with young couples as well. They see each other as competition because they both work, they have an
Right.
income, and
Right.
he has to help in the household because, oh, if he doesn't, because I'm working as well, and we have to share and do 50-50, and everybody demands these things from each other. So is that love? No. That's, I'm with you because you can do this for me and I can do that for you, and everything else I see you as competition. You should actually want your person to be okay. You should want your person to be happy, because then you'll be that woman who's standing at the door if that's a 5-minute job, to throw on some lipstick and a dress and open the door. Not even 5 minutes. Do
Sets
this
the
because
tone for
that's
the
how
whole
you
night.
show. Yes, because that's how you show your partner that you want them to be okay.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
not
I think
sitting on the sofa with your tracksuit that's full of, stains, and you're watching TV already because you're exhausted from work when he comes in.
right. Right.
You see?
I will
And
tell
when
you that.
you,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I have to say one very important thing, because I already hear the women screaming, yeah, but why should I do all that? What is he doing for me? When you set the tone like that in the relationship, two things will happen. Either your man will follow you because he sees your actions. A man doesn't listen to your words. He listens maybe to 25% of all these things that we say all day to our man, right? And maybe he remembers 5% because men don't listen. But he looks at actions. So when he sees you're there at the door, or he sees the candles are lit, or there are fresh flowers in the house, or whatever that makes you feminine, this is what he remembers. So you set the tone and he will follow you. If he doesn't get it, then it's better to know what kind of man you have in the beginning of your relationship, so you can consider to look for another man.
I think that is such great advice. As you're talking, it makes so much sense because women want what they ultimately want is they want to feel feminine with their man, yet they're acting masculine. And what you just
Yes,
described was the masculine man walking in the door. You could both be working, but let's say you get home before he does. He wants a feminine woman, just like you want a masculine man. And if you want those things, then you have to play that role. You can't get the masculine man doing all the masculine things if you're not the feminine woman, right? That
exactly.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, because I hear it all the time the other way around. Women tell me, I will be this feminine woman. If I see that he's this masculine man, I will tune into my feminine. Don't you worry at all. But I believe,
Right.
this is my experience, that it's the also with my work, not just with my own life, that it's the other way around. Because I believe the man is the head of the house, but the woman is the neck, and she turns the man into the direction she wants him to go. Because a woman is way more powerful than we realize. And we do that by showing him, by guiding him, by literally educating him of how we want our lives to be, instead of by being negative and aggressive and waiting for him to be that man to do everything, so
And
that
it
then we can show him that we're a feminine woman. It doesn't work like that.
no, it doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of women think that being feminine, the way we're talking about it right now, might mean to them to be passive. And that is definitely not what you're saying.
Silly. Yes. No, not at all. Not at all. To be
Right.
feminine is to show yourself as well who you actually are. Where's your femininity? Where do you think it is? It
Right.
has nothing to do with putting your boobs out there. This
Right.
has to do with feeling. So I teach, for example, to many of my clients who have lost it completely, I teach them literally. I have also done it myself many times, to take a dance class. I've done pole dancing. I've done like sexy curves with moves, with high heel dancing, whatever. And I do this for myself. There's nobody there. It's me, my teacher, and it's a mirror. The audience is our mirror. But it's unbelievable how much more tuned in you are with yourself, because we don't look at ourselves anymore nowadays. We get up, we shower, we get dressed, we leave the house, right? We are not aware of our bodies. Okay, in the gym, maybe a little bit, or on the beach, whatever. But when you see yourself move as a feminine can move, you actually start to feel better with yourself. It's a great way also to heal traumas that you may have. And it's a great way to tune into your feminine energy.
Absolutely. I'm writing a book too, and part of the book has to do with getting in touch with your feminine energy. And I taught a class at my studio in heels, and I had so many women come to it. And women are looking for ways to feel strong,
Yeah.
but feminine. And with your advice, I mean, it's just very straightforward, but I think women have gotten so many conflicting messages that they don't know who to listen to. And that's why it was so
Yes.
important for me to connect with you so my audience can hear you. Because, and I'm sure you've gotten this from people, that you're old fashioned, people don't think that way anymore. But think about what really has worked. That doesn't mean, again, that women, when you're feminine, that you're passive. It means that you still have a voice. It's just the way you're going to speak. And I think if it just all flows, it works well. And with that said, what could you describe what the qualities of a perfect, close to perfect relationship would feel like or look like to somebody?
Okay. So you both have to feel comfortable in each other's presence, both. And the most important thing is not so much for me to, not for me in general, I think, to have like the same hobbies or the same kind of things that you want in life. But I think that the most important thing is that you grow together in the same direction. And this is what I think people struggle with, because people look at the wrong red flags in the beginning. We look at all these superficial things, but this is actually what you should really pay attention to. If your partner is, for example, very religious and you are not, that could create a big obstacle later on in your life. If you want 3 kids, your partner doesn't want any kids. Those are major life changing, things that you, if you know this from yourself, you have to understand where you're getting yourself into. So to grow together is for me the most important quality in a relationship. It's also why relationships fail. Most of the relationships that fail because of that, because you grow into different directions.
Right. Do you think that there's a perfect age for women and men to get married?
I personally think that your 20s should be for you, for your self development, for your studies, for finding your direction in life
Mhm.
as an individual person. Your 30s should be for building on something, you know, first a relationship, or first some kind of career, or both at the same time, whatever it is. And I think that the best age, if you want kids, is until 35-ish. This may sound old fashioned because nowadays women in their 50s even get kids.
I know.
And I mean, I don't mind at all. I love kids. I would never judge anybody for having kids at
Right.
any age. But I'm just looking, because I studied child psychology, at how a kid feels. So I think children, who we decide to bring children in the world, it's a very selfish thing to become a parent anyway. So I think that for a child, it deserves to have a parent who will be there, for as long as possible, without having to have the fear that I can only enjoy my parents until I'm 20 or something, because who knows what happens after that.
Right.
So, because that creates unnecessary anxiety for a young child.
Mhm.
So, yeah, this is very general what I'm saying, right? There are
No, I
people who
understand.
marry in
Right.
their 20s and they marry again in their 40s, and it's their second marriage is like the best ever. This is
Right.
a very general thing. This depends completely on somebody's childhood traumas, how you develop as a person. Some people develop very late, they're just like that. In their 20s, they have no clue what they want. So they just go through the 20s like it's their teens. It happens.
Right, right. It's very individual, but I was just wondering, like, overall, what you thought. I remember telling my daughters, you can't get married until, can't. They could do whatever they want. Please don't get married until you're at least 30, just because I did want them to enjoy their 30s. I mean, their 20s and not worry, like, don't worry, you have enough time. You have enough time. Um, and so I do agree that it depends on how mature they are. We have about 1 minute left.
Yes.
Is there 1 minute of advice that you could give that you would want all of our listeners to take away with from this episode?
Yes, I think we have entered an era that we should all focus way more on self acceptance and doing something for yourself, because that means that you actually learn through actions to love yourself. And I think that it's shocking how bad we are at that. With all the self help books, millions of self help books,
Right.
programs, people who speak, influential speakers, uh, it's scary how little we have learned to love ourselves. And I think if you can do something every day for yourself to feel a little bit better, that's what your focus should be in life. That should be your priority in life. If you are married or not, if you have kids or not, just
Beautiful.
do something every day for yourself.
Very, very important. Thank you so much, Esther,
You're
for
so
joining me today.
welcome.
How can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me obviously on Instagram with my name. You can find me on TikTok. I just hit 1 million followers on
I
TikTok. I'm
saw that
so, yeah,
last night. Wow, congratulations. That's huge.
I'm so grateful. Really, I am. I never expected that. And you can find me on YouTube. Until now, I've just posted shorts, but I'm
Mhm.
starting my YouTube channel as well, and on Facebook. So,
Wonderful.
and my
So
website will
everywhere.
be up. Yeah, and my website will be up in August. So then you can also read more about me and what I'm actually doing and what kind of support I give to people, to my clients.
Wonderful. Thank you so, so much. If you have
Thank
any
you.
questions, please reach out to us. And until next week, stay fearlessly authentic, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Bye bye.